What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Real Moves podcast. My name is Jonathan Gonzalez, and I'm here with
Jeff Luna.
And today we are in the presence of a professional boxer, George Yuyu, right?
Yuyu,
Acosta.
Yeah.
Welcome,
yes, sir.
man.
Thank you. I'm excited. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course. Thanks for coming on. So for anybody who doesn't know you, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I am a professional boxer. Started boxing when I was 9 years old. Took a short break, but then turned professional in 2017. 2017 made my pro debut, and then I'm still fighting, still boxing. Student, going to college right now. Also a boxing coach.
Yeah.
So a lot of boxing
lot of
around
hats.
my life.
Yeah.
Make YouTube videos on boxing. It's just a lot of boxing.
Oh,
Cool.
damn.
So you started 6 years ago. How old were you when you turned pro? Or not started, but when you turned pro, how old were you at that time?
When I turned pro, I was 20.
Okay, so
was
pretty
20.
young. Is that relatively young for the boxing world, or is that kind
No,
of
not
normal?
really. No, you have guys in like Mexico turning pro at 16, like Canelo Alvarez. He turned pro, I think, at 15 and a half.
Wow.
Damn,
Same
I
thing
know
with
that.
Pacquiao. Like he had to lie about his age in order to get fights.
Really?
But those are Here in the U.S., you have to be 18 to turn pro.
Mhm.
You have to be 18 to turn pro. I think in some other countries are a little less, little less strict. But no, I mean, I turned pro when I was 20, and I think that was a good age. I could have waited a little bit more when I'm like 21, just because, the older you get, the more mature you are. But I can't complain. It's been pretty good so far.
What age did you start training, for fighting and stuff?
First time I stepped in the ring, first time I stepped at the gym, I was 9. The first, I was in Mexico. I went to go visit my family in Mexico. They're from Los Mochis. And so I went to go visit, and I stepped into the gym. I was 9, and I really liked it. So when I came back over here, I told my parents that I wanted to box. And they enrolled me at the Sheriff Academy. They had an after-school boxing program. So they had the after-school boxing program there. And I officially enrolled when I was 10. And I had my first amateur fight when I was 11.
Damn.
So my first amateur fight when I was 11 up until 18. And then after that, took a little break, and then I turned pro at 20.
Damn.
Talking about your childhood, boxing, were your parents pretty supportive from the get-go with everything, or were they kind of hesitant to want to put you in what some would call a violent sport, or how do they?
You know what? No, my parents were supportive from the very beginning, and I think because growing up, I played every sport. Right? I played every basketball, soccer, baseball, everything except football. I didn't play football. Nothing against football. I just didn't play. But my mom's side of the family, they really liked boxing, right? So my mom wasn't really against it, even though it's a violent sport. She was never against it. My dad was, supportive too. So he's like, whatever you want to do. And I think my older brother did boxing a little bit before I even tried it. So my brother was boxing a little bit before I did. So my parents were okay with it. The only time they were, or at least my mom, the only time she wasn't, we weren't in agreement was when I was younger. I was probably 11, 12, and I would be like, I'm going to turn pro. I'm going to be a professional fighter. And she's like, no, you're not. You're not going to turn pro. You're not going to be a professional fighter. You can do this, as a hobby. You can do this, you can keep competing, but you're not going to turn pro. But then over time, I started winning tournaments, and then I started going, out of state and stuff. And I started winning, and then she's slowly it became no, you're not going to be a pro fighter, to okay, so when's your next fight? And she was not pushing me to do it, but she was very
she saw the true potential of what could happen.
Exactly. I think she saw the potential and was like, hey, if it makes you happy and you're older already, and you make your own decisions, if you're happy and you put effort into it, then it's fine.
Awesome. What's your record right now?
Right now I am 16 wins, 1 loss, and 3 KOs.
Awesome. And in boxing, I guess it's kind of devastating because I'm pretty naive or ignorant when it comes to boxing. I know the basics, right? I think everybody does, but we don't know a lot of the intricacies. but getting a loss is pretty devastating, right? Like that's kind of something you hope to not get on your record. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I think ever since the Floyd Mayweather era, it's become, if you have a loss in your record, it doesn't look as, or it looks bad.
Yeah.
Right? Plain and simple, it looks bad if you have a loss in your record. Because if you look at, boxing beforehand, 50, 20, 30 years ago, everyone had losses.
Yeah.
All the fighters had losses because they would fight, the top guys in their division, and people didn't care. Like MMA is very forgiving with that. Like you can have multiple losses and it's like, it doesn't matter. Like people want to see. But yeah, boxing is a little different in that. I think this newer generation I think everyone was just kind of aiming to have that perfect record, being undefeated and all.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think a loss doesn't really, doesn't define anyone. You can have a loss, and in a way it's better because, one, you don't have the pressure of keeping that undefeated record. And then two, if you lose, that means you made a mistake somewhere or someone's better than you. So what are you going to do to become better than them?
Right.
Or what are you going to do to make yourself better ultimately? So I think a loss can teach you a lot, especially in boxing.
How did you take the loss when that happened? Did you take it kind of rough? Was it like, damn, this is my first loss? Or
you know what? No, actually, I didn't. I feel like I still haven't really embraced that loss, or maybe I have, but it's just I don't really care too much about it because I was able to look back and see what I had to do, and now I feel I've overcome that loss and I've learned so much from it. So yeah, I think it was, if anything, it was beneficial because it was earlier in my career.
Nice,
it's different when let's say you have a fighter who's starting off and they have less than 10 fights and they have a loss. That loss is less significant than someone who is like 30-0 and then they get their first defeat. You know what I mean? Because they're so accustomed to winning. And then when they lose, they're like, whoa, I've never experienced this. And, it's a little hard. It's harder on them.
Yeah.
Who's a fighter that you looked up to when you were coming up?
A fighter I looked up to was Miguel Cotto from Puerto Rico. I just liked his demeanor, his attitude outside of the ring, his boxing skills in the ring was really, he's really great fighter. So he was one of the fighters that I like to, that I would watch a lot growing up.
Yeah. Even like the boxing too, like speaking like Floyd Mayweather, it's all about points, right? Like before, I feel like they just threw blows, like back in like, the days, even like when I was a kid, like the Hopkins fights, the De La Hoyas, like they just threw blows, man. Now I feel like he was more strategic about like,
Yeah. So that's another thing with Floyd where he kind of changed. I mean, there's always been fighters in the past that were really, technical and strategic and they were looking to score points rather than always trying to go for a knockout or whatever. But I think Floyd was in that era where like there was a lot more, broadcast became bigger, the more television, more exposure. So he was able to kind of become that idol for a lot of fighters.
Big figure.
Yeah, big figure. Exactly. He was able to become that big figure and kind of change the sport a little bit. And you can't really blame him, because at the end of the day, you have two guys that are fighting and it's a violent sport, but you want both of them to go home to their families and be okay. At the end of the day, it's a sport,
Yeah.
But yeah, Floyd did influence a lot of things. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about what your routine might look like, because like you said, you're a busy dude, man. Like you're boxing, you're making videos, you're coaching, you're going to school, doing all these things. What is your daily routine look like? Are you getting up early and going straight to training, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, it kind of changes per semester now because schedule a little bit. No, but typically I'll wake up, I'll go for a run, anywhere 3 to 5 miles. It's not every day. It probably maybe this is on average. So 3 to 5 miles, I'll go for a run, come home, relax a little bit, have my meals. I'll have my meal, then I'll go to boxing training. So boxing will probably be about, I'm in the gym around 2 hours, give or take.
What time are you waking up and running?
So I'll wake up around 6. I'm pretty much done with my run by 7. Come home, I'll eat, relax a little bit, and then I'll be back in the gym. It varies depending if I'm sparring that day or if I'm not sparring. But let's say around 9:30 to 11:30, and then back home, relax a little bit, and then I have school at 1. So then I'm at school again, depending on the day. But I'll be at school from 1 to 7 p.m. or I'll be from 1 to 4, and then after school, then I'll go coach.
Yeah.
So then I'll go coach, and then that's pretty much my schedule. And then I'm home by like 9 p.m. or something.
Yeah.
And
Just
then
a lot of dedication. I'm sure you have to like constantly chip at it every single day.
Yeah, every
right?
single day. Yeah, and it's a little different every time. Depending on if it's a sparring day, if it's just a regular technical slower training day, and then sometimes if I'm not running, I'm doing strength conditioning. So it's one of those. Yeah.
Do you give yourself rest days every now and then?
I get rest days. But I feel like now I got so used to having like a high volume in training that my rest day is like an easy jog or something.
It's just like less workload.
Yeah, less less
active
workload.
Rest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I noticed that I feel better when I'm moving.
Yeah.
If I take a day completely off, then I'm a
sluggish.
little stiffer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little stiffer. But there's times where you have to just,
I was
listen to
gonna
your
ask,
body.
because like you train at such a high level. I was gonna ask you if you like go on vacation or a trip and you're like, damn, I'm itching to get back in the gym. Is it like that to that level where you're like, damn, I can't wait to go back?
Oh yeah, no, it gets like that. Yeah, I just took I went to Mexico for I went with my wife probably like 5 days, I think. 6 days, 6 days. But it was great. Like I lied. I did go to the gym. At the resort, they had a gym there. I went to the gym probably like 3 out of the 5 days we were there. But nothing crazy. But it was just something.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do get that. It's good to step away because when you step away, you want it more.
Yeah.
And you have to have that energy especially with boxing. You can't take it lightly because one punch can kind of change your life really.
Really,
You
yeah.
never know.
Real,
Yeah.
What's your current major right now in school that you're going for?
Right now it's kinesiology. So originally it was nutrition, but then I have a lot more credits towards kinesiology. So I'm like, I'll just do kinesiology.
Right.
But either one, anything that has to do with exercise science, nutrition, anything that involves that really is really intriguing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your overall goal here? Are you hoping to continue to fight at a pro level for as long as you can? Do you end up wanting to like open a gym of your own and train kids, or what do you hope to accomplish?
Yeah, no, I'm going to continue boxing. I'm going to still, continue to box, fight until I know when it's time to step away.
Yeah.
When I wake up and I'm like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, then I'm going to call it quits, because I think a mistake a lot of fighters make is they stay in the gym, they stay in the sport for too long, and that's when they get damaged or they leave with some sort of brain injury or something. But yeah, I want to keep boxing, for the next few years.
Yeah.
Hoping
See
everything
where
goes
that
well.
takes you.
And then after that, who knows? I mean, I'm going to school. I eventually want to get in the medical field. So once I'm done with boxing, I'll probably, start a new chapter.
Yeah.
When that is, I'm not sure. But right now it's just
Continue
boxing.
to grind
Yeah,
it
just
out.
continue.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Keep growing.
What's like the business side with boxing, right? Because I hear a lot about, like the promoters and stuff, and to get into fights, right? Like how does that side work? Do people like reach out to you? They see your record, they're like making offers to you, or to fight at this place or that place, or how does that work?
Yeah. So I'm not too familiar with the whole business side of boxing because there's a lot of business that's not shared publicly.
Right.
Unless you're in in
circle.
That, yeah. Unless you're in that circle. But normally how it works, so you could have two fighters. So you have one fighter that can sign to a promotion or promoter. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're an employee of that promoter. It just means that you're like a private contractor. Mm-hmm. So they hire you every single time you fight. And then you have another fighter where they can reach out to other promotions, matchmakers, managers. They reach out and they can ask to get into a fight, right? So a lot of the times it's going to be like local club shows. So a fighter can go fight multiple times in the club show, build his resume, build his record up, and then once he becomes bigger, I guess you can say, when he has a bigger name, bigger promotions can then pick him up, sign him multiple years or however it works, and then kind of build up from there. So you could sign directly to a promotion. That's kind of what I did after I signed with I think after a year of being a pro. So I was a pro for a year. I wasn't signed to a promotion, and then I signed for 5 years. And then, so you have the promoters, you have the managers, the boxing advisors, and then you have the coaches, and then you have all the TV networks, then the TV, I don't know how, that's beyond my understanding right now. I'm not at that level. Yeah. So they have the TV, the promoters pair up with the TV,
right?
TV networks, and then they build up their business behind it.
It's crazy too, because there's a lot of money at stake when it gets to that level,
Oh yeah.
That's why you see these YouTube guys get into it. There's a lot of money involved.
Oh yeah, at the end of the day, it's just, how many eyes can you get to watch the fight? You know what I mean? If you can get a bunch of people to watch you, then essentially you kind of you'll get
have
paid
the
more.
attention.
Yeah,
you can tell ad space really is
exactly.
what it is.
Yeah.
What's your take on some of these YouTubers? Jake Paul, Logan Paul, whoever it is, and do you think they're doing the sport a disservice, or do you kind of like what they're doing for boxing?
No, I don't think they're doing a disservice, honestly. Some of it is kind of, that you shouldn't be in there. Like there's some fighters that shouldn't be there, and only because it's not an issue that's a boxing. It's not an issue that they're doing this. It's not an issue that they choose a sport to compete, but the only issue is that the boxing is dangerous. You know what I mean? So if you're not a skilled fighter, you have two YouTubers that are not skilled and they fight against each other, right? You can still get hurt. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. You can still get hurt. So that's the only part where I kind of don't disagree. But other than that, they're getting more eyes on the sport. Jake is trying to do good. I think he's trying to do good with the sport. Obviously, he's trying to make money.
Yeah.
I guess everyone's trying to make money, but he's trying to help out other fighters that he signs to get a bigger name and reach that next level.
It's definitely like a controversial topic. Like a lot of people have heavy feelings about what side they're on.
Yeah.
I personally think it's great, to be honest. Everybody's gonna do what they have to do to make a buck, and they've figured out a way to make millions of them, right? So I couldn't do it if I tried, to be honest. I'm not a boxer. I don't have that level of attention and all this stuff, right? So for him to be able to figure that stuff out and not only make money for other opponents,
right.
Make bigger names for everyone, help out all the promoters and whoever's involved. It's everybody's winning.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I don't really have anything really against them. And even when they say oh yeah, I'm the greatest, I want to fight Canelo, I want to fight, really? Come on. It's all part of the show.
They're selling.
It's all part of the show, right?
Yeah.
And then people will believe it, and then people believe it. That's fine.
They get resentful, and it's come on, he's just trying to sell tickets. Relax, man.
I actually helped. I was helping Logan Paul. I was sparring with him when he was getting ready for that Mayweather fight.
Nice.
And honestly, he wasn't bad.
Yeah.
He was not bad. The only thing, he's a lot bigger, but skill wise, he wasn't. He had some skill. He had some training, a couple years.
Uh-huh.
He's athletic, so he had that to his advantage.
How tall are you?
5'8".
And then he's how tall? 6 something?
Yeah, he's probably 6'2" maybe.
Mm.
So yeah, 6'2". So he was big. But yeah, just like anything, you put in the effort, you put that work in, and you can get that skill.
Yeah.
But now he's doing what, WWE?
Yeah, and he's excelling at that too.
He's pretty good at that. But
that's no joke either. People kind of look at it and say, "Oh, it's fake," it's acting, and it is, but it takes a certain level of athleticism to bang your body up like that week after week. It's
Oh yeah.
Again, I'm no guy to
Yeah.
like jump in that ring
The
either. I
ladders
can't
and
do that
shit.
shit. Yeah, what the heck? Like,
Jumping off ladders.
like hats off to them. They're doing it. I have nothing to say about that. Talking about your height and everything. What weight class are you in?
I'm in super featherweight or junior lightweight, same thing. 130 pounds.
Okay.
So I started. So let me kind of go back a little bit.
Yeah.
So I took a break from boxing when I was like, I don't know, 18, 19. I think I was 18. I took a break because I would tell myself that I wanted to go to the Olympic, be an Olympian, make the Olympic team. But I didn't qualify for the 2016 Olympics, or I didn't qualify to make the team. So I was like, oh, it's, I was beating myself up like, oh, it's unfair, blah, blah, blah. But really, when I look back, I'm like, I didn't really want it. I said I wanted it, but I never really wanted it. Anyways, so I took a break, and then, so I took that. I was about 18. I want to say I was about 18. I took a break, and then I joined Tillis Jiu-Jitsu. Noah Tillis runs the gym, the academy, and then I was doing that for about 2 years. So then my coach called me and was like, hey, I think it's time to get back in the ring. Like, I think it's time to get back to boxing. And I was like, you know what? I've been thinking the same thing. So anyways, when I got back, I went up to 170 pounds, right? So I was at 170 pounds, and then I had a whole year of training and just little by little just cutting that weight. So then when I made my professional debut, I was 137 pounds. But then now I'm fighting at 130, and I feel a lot better there. So
Damn, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, 170.
That's like, so that's where if you were not boxing and you were just going to the gym, maintenance work, you would probably sit at like 170. Do you think that's?
Yeah, I would say, I think like genetically, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
170, 175. I think that's where I'm like, I'll be chilling.
Yeah.
My dad is around that weight, 180, 185. So it's like, yeah.
That's comfortable. So there's got to be, that's a lot of work to go from 170 to 137 and then 130. Have you ever fought at higher weight classes?
I've had to fight at a higher weight class only because like last minute issues. So for example, I had a fight scheduled for, I don't know, 135 pounds, right? And my opponent, like they couldn't get an opponent. And then every time I would get an opponent, would lock in, something would happen. They couldn't, whatever reason. There's a reason why they couldn't make the weight, or they couldn't fight.
Yeah.
So then I think the week of the fight, they had an opponent. I think the highest I've had a fight was like at 144, but I came in like 137 or something. So I was already underweight, but my opponent was bigger. But that's probably the only times where I would ever fight. I would ever fight that, because it's like, hey, we don't find an opponent in the next, 5 days, you're not going to fight or something.
You'd rather just fight.
I'm like, okay, I'll fight. You got to be smart about that. You can't just be like, oh yeah, I'll fight, whatever. Because, you could get hurt, especially fighting someone that's bigger, an extra 2 weight classes above you or something. You can get hurt. But then, we do a little bit of research and like, okay, it's a risk we're willing to take, and let's do it.
Yeah.
If you're dropping 40 pounds like that, there has to be a method, right? Like your coach probably went over with you, and you probably know it by now. What are some things that you guys do to the extreme when you're cutting weight like that?
Yeah, so those 40 pounds, that was a slow, gradual decrease. That was slow over. It's still kind of fast if you think about it. 170 to 135 or 140 in a year. But yeah, there's when you have time, that's fine, because you can lose the weight slowly over time, and it's more sustainable and you can maintain it. But when you get fights, when you're getting ready for a fight, so let's say a training camp, and let's say I go on vacation, and then I start training camp at 150 pounds or something, right? And I have to lose 20 pounds in 5 weeks or 4 weeks sometimes. Then you just have to make those drastic cuts to your diet. Just manipulate a little bit. Just you're kind of eating in a hypercaloric state around your workout window, and then or around your training, and then when you're out of training, you're back to you're cutting. So then when you do that, you lose weight, you lose a certain amount of weight, but then fight week comes. Fight week is the last week before the fight,
right.
or the week of the fight. That's why it's fight week.
Mm-hmm.
That's when most fighters do a water cut, so that they can drop anywhere from, I don't know. You'll see MMA fighters, they'll drop like 20 plus pounds in that week, and I've never done that, you know, but it's extreme.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And there's no benefit to doing that in boxing, because you're not grappling with someone, you know, you can't use your weight against them. I mean, you could, but it's the referee will break it up before. But yeah, there's a lot of strategies to cut weight.
You see these guys like sitting in the sauna for 30 minutes and spitting every 30 seconds. It's like, dude, that's insane. I again personally couldn't do it, but that's pretty crazy. You've never had to do anything like that where you're like down to the wire. It's like, I gotta lose the last couple
you know
pounds.
what? Actually, I had one. I had one pretty bad experience with cutting weight, and it's not a lot. It wasn't a lot of weight. I woke up. I think it was my 5th professional fight. And after that, it kind of changed the way I cut weight.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a lot. You know, I woke up at 140 pounds, 141, and the scheduled weight was 135, and that was the day of the fight, or the day of the weigh-in, right? So in a couple hours, I had to lose, 5 pounds or something. And I woke up and I was like, okay, 5 pounds is nothing. It'll be fine. But no, I didn't realize that I was already, this is before I knew all the nutritional things that I kind of dove into and learned. I didn't know I was already dehydrated. So if you're already dehydrated, how are you going to pull off all that weight off of you? Especially if you're losing weight in hours, that's all water. You're not going to lose fat. It's all water. So yeah, I had one experience where I woke up and I'm like, okay, 5 pounds doesn't seem like a lot, but then I was in the sauna for, I don't even know how long I was in there. And there was a point, it was bad because there was a point where I got out of the sauna. I just took off my clothes and I laid down at the bench at the gym, and I was just laying down there. And I think I fell asleep or I passed out. I don't know what happened,
shoot.
but I want to say I fell asleep for a little bit. And then my coach just looked at me. He's like, yeah, there's no way I'm gonna get you back in there, and we're professional. We always make weight. This was only time that happened. And then, but no, we went to the venue where we're gonna weigh in, and I weighed in exactly at 135. So I made the weight, and I was like, the whole experience was just bad.
Brutal.
I felt like I lost my voice. I couldn't even hear anymore. My vision was changing. It was just. Yeah,
it was not healthy, but it had to be done, right? Like,
it was not healthy. And then again, now I don't do that.
Yeah. How long was the weigh-in before the actual fight?
The weigh-in was I think it was like 30 hours.
Okay.
So I had time. Yeah, I had time to rehydrate. But then again, I didn't have the knowledge I have now of like properly, rehydrating after dehydrating that much. But I mean, it worked out fine. Yeah.
Immediately after the weigh-in, can you like chug water, or you have to like even go slow and like
you would want to it depends on the method that you use, like depending how you cut, but yeah, you would want to do everything slowly, put a little bit of water back in, put your electrolytes back in, and then more fluid. And actually for me personally, after weigh-in, I don't eat for like. After I weigh in, I probably don't eat for like an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. It's only just fluids. And then once I start feeling a little better, then my hunger comes back, and then I start eating a little bit. I eat something easy to digest, some fruit or Rice Krispies or something.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. I was like, do you have like something that you eat like before every fight, or that you keep?
Yeah. So after weigh-in, I'll have those fruit cups that have like a mixed fruit, and they have some jelly or something. They have something.
The syrup?
Yeah, syrup. There you go. They have the syrup. So I'll have that. That's probably like the first actual like things that I eat besides fluids. I'll have that, and then I'll have a couple of those, and then maybe I have a little bit of banana. Then I'll start making it a little bit more solid. I'll have like a Rice Krispie, just because I want to get that the carbohydrates in, easy digesting, and then after a while, then I'll start having meals. You know, I'll have normally what I would eat throughout the week, training camp, but just more of it. So then I start having bagels, and then I won't have like a complete full meal until like, you know, 8 hours after weighing in.
Yeah.
And then I'll just have whatever. I'll
As
have
normal.
Yeah, some pasta, or, you know, sometimes just cereal.
Is there anything you absolutely do not eat? Like, I just stay away from that. Not for because you don't like the taste of it, but like that's a no on the list.
Yeah, you can't eat the food can't be too fatty, you know, so it can't be too high in fat, only because fat's going to slow down digestion.
Mm-hmm.
So it slows down digestion. And the thing is, you want to get the nutrients in and absorbed as fast as you can, right? And if you're slowing that down, it's just going to, it's not efficient.
It's not beneficial.
So you want to have, you know, and I've done that before where I'm like, I've done the complete opposite where I weigh in and I'm hungry, but I ignore that I'm dehydrated. So I just go straight to eating food. And then, yeah, you know, it's not, you get constipated, you don't use the restroom, and it's like, yeah, you feel bloated, you know, yeah. So there's foods, things that are super, super fatty. Just avoid
stay away. For maybe kids out there or young adults, whatever they are, who are wanting to get into boxing, or maybe they've done it once or twice and they really liked it. What are some pieces of like practical advice that you would say to people who are like, hey, I kind of want to get into that. I kind of want to start, and like maybe they'll start with headgear and stuff like that. Like, any advice for somebody like that?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to, you know, start boxing or something, the first thing is just give it a try. You know, actually don't invest too much money into like buying the newest gear, the newest gloves, headgear, all that stuff. You know, just try it out. Go to a local gym, give it a try a few times, and then after a while, if you really really like it, then you start, you know, leveling up a little bit, buy a headgear, buy some gloves, and then maybe spar, because you can really really have a passion for the sport and really like the technique, but then once you get hit, it may not be for you, you know, or vice versa, where it's like you can get hit but maybe you can't hit the other person, because that happens a lot too, where it's like, you know, you've never hit someone and, you know,
they feel guilty.
Yeah, they feel guilty or something. But yeah, I mean, you know, try it, and then and
you might hit the canvas too hard.
Just give the sport a try, and don't invest too much money early on.
That makes a lot of sense. Is there a lot of people in boxing or even in your gym that only do it to train? Like, they don't even spar, they don't have any intentions of fighting, but they do it because it's a good workout?
Oh yeah, and that's great too. So if someone that wants to just do it for a workout, that's perfectly fine. You know, it's a great way to exercise. You know, it's fun. It's you're hitting, you know, you're doing your strength training and you're doing your cardio. You know, it's better than, well, depends on who you ask, but you know, it's funner than just going for a run or doing a bike ride or jumping rope.
And you're actually using like a lot of like your muscles, right?
Yeah,
when you're punching, like you're using like your legs, your arm, you know.
Yeah, you use everything.
Yeah.
Yep, you use everything. But yeah, if anyone wants to try boxing, yeah, absolutely, give it a try. It's a great workout. And if you don't know what combinations to throw, then you can follow my YouTube channel.
I was just gonna get into that actually. I wanted to kind of transition there. So what do you teach or what do you show on the YouTube channel?
Yeah, so for the YouTube, I talk about boxing, nutrition, and exercise. So yeah, I'll break it down to boxing technique, like how to throw a proper punch, how to defend. Then I have some videos, longer videos, where it's like a follow along workout. Right. So if someone has a heavy bag at home, they can watch my videos and just kind of follow along. And I just kind of, you know, I'm hitting the heavy bag and I'm like, okay, this round we're going to do 1, 2, the next round, you know. And then I have videos on nutrition. So something that I would eat during training camp, or what I eat during fight week, and different strategies, nutrition, and then some basic exercises for boxing, conditioning and stuff.
Is there an overall goal? Is it like part of your mission to just like empower more people to appreciate boxing, or you want to help like the youth really get into it, or what was your thought there?
I never really had a a specific goal
Mhm.
on the YouTube channel. I did set a goal probably like 2 years ago, where I said I want to give away 1,000 pairs of boxing gloves. Don't know when that's gonna happen. I'm just doing a little bit, and I've been doing it little by little. I think I've given away like 20 or 20 plus 20, like 22 or something like that.
Yeah.
It've been people from different states across the country, where I'll do like little giveaways, and I'll give someone watching a pair of gloves. But I guess you can say that's my goal with it. Give away 1,000 pair of gloves, and then when I do, then we'll see. But I like educating. I like educating all that, and I enjoy it. So,
When did you start the YouTube channel?
I started the YouTube channel 3 years ago. I want to say, I think 3 years ago.
And
Out of the pandemic?
Actually, I think it was right before the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right before the pandemic.
And the posting, you've been pretty consistent those last.
I was consistent early on. I was consistent. I was like, okay, my goal is to post once a week, and it was good.
Yeah.
But then as I started getting more fights, and training got a little bit harder, and then I started going to school. Now I'm not as consistent, right? And then it's like, okay, maybe I'll miss 1 month, or maybe I'll miss 2 months, and then I'll go 3 weeks straight, and then so yeah, that I have to jump back in, be a little bit more consistent, and if I can't make that much video like once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks.
You do it when you can.
Yeah, I do it right now. I was just doing when I can.
Yeah, because even when you came in here straight away, you were like, the camera's in front of you. You're like, oh, you guys do video too, and then you had like no problem with it. You weren't nervous. You kind of picked it up. Have you always been that way, even on the YouTube channel? Or?
No. No. I was so like my first video. I was so awkward. I felt just like.
Yeah.
I had my little brother with the camcorder. I got a camcorder from like Best Buy, and then I told my brother like, oh, I'm gonna help me make a YouTube video so you can record me. But it was just so awkward,
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to talk to the camera. But now it's not a big deal.
Yeah. It's pretty easy now.
Yeah, the more you do it, then it gets easier.
Of course, yeah. It's like practice, like boxing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you keep practicing, you're gonna get better. For people out there who want to check it out, who want to watch you, for one, we'll put the link down in the show notes. But two, what can they search on YouTube to find you?
Yeah, so if you're on YouTube, just type in El Yuyu, ELYUY, YUYU, or just El Yuyu Boxing or George Acosta Boxing. The name of the channel is just El Yuyu. But if you type in El Yuyu Boxing or George Acosta Boxing, it should pop up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Talking on that, where did the nickname come from?
So El Yuyu actually has no definition. It means it doesn't, or at least not that I'm aware of. My sister, Nancy, she's 1 year older than me, but when we were younger, she couldn't say my name, so she would just call me Yuyu, right? So she would call me Yuyu, and then from there it got stuck. Yeah. Everyone in my family calls me Yuyu. I feel most of my family, like from Mexico, know me by Yuyu than by George. I don't think they know my first name. They just know me by Yuyu. So yeah, that's where the nickname came from. Yeah. Cool. So I just, you get a nickname, you just kind of stick with it.
What was your upbringing like? So you have younger brother, older sister. You have an older brother as well, right? You said. Any other siblings, or is it just the four of you guys? Yeah,
so I have a older brother, 32. My sister's gonna turn 28. Then it's me. I'm gonna turn 27, and then my little brother, who just turned 20. Yeah. So we grew up right here in South Whittier. Pretty much our whole life. We've been in South Whittier, and yeah, I think we're close family, really, really close to each other. Now I have a niece and a nephew, so the family's growing now.
Nice.
Yeah. You represent hard for South Whittier. I think that's pretty cool. Like you.
Which high school do you go to?
Cal High.
Cal High. Oh, okay.
Pride for where you came from. I think that's really dope.
Lucerna, man. I went to Lucerna.
Lucerna. What year did?
14.
Oh, 2014. Oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah, the same year. Yeah.
You're
13.
13. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, my sister was 13.
Yeah. I went to middle school. Like I've never met you, right? We have a lot of mutual friends. I know you know Jerome. I went to middle school with your sister Nancy, and I've known who you are for a long time. I've been following you because I think it's just really cool what you're doing. Like professional boxer out of South Whittier, like it's probably uncommon, right? I don't know of any other professional boxers out of South Whittier. So having grown up in the community, I thought, man, this is really cool. Like, this guy's doing something dope, and I would love to talk to him about it and just, you know, have you on here. And I think you're really putting on for South Whittier, and it's really dope what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, to me, it just seems like it's, you know, just something that I'm just doing what I love, you know. So I don't really, I guess I haven't really thought about it too much like that. It's just more like,
it just felt natural.
Yeah,
to you.
it just felt natural.
Is there any part of boxing that you don't like, or you just love the whole process, the working out, the training, the sparring?
I love the training. I love the sparring. Not a big fan of cutting weight. I'm not a big fan of cutting weight, but I like the art of it, so that makes it easier, right? Yeah. If I just think about like, oh, I have to lose weight, then it becomes a little more, you know, I dread it a little bit more. But when I kind of get sciencey behind it, it's like, okay, well, if I eat this, it affects my weight this way. If I do this, or if I do it like that, then I really enjoy it, because then it becomes a challenge. Like, okay, how much weight can I really lose? You know, like if I make it like that, then it's I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, the thing about boxing probably that I dislike the most is probably the day of the fight. Yeah. The day of the fight.
Why is that?
It's just, I don't know, the day just seems super long.
Yeah.
You know, just the day just seems super long. You know, you wanna go in there, you wanna fight,
right?
You know, so you just kind of get anxious, and it's just, you know, everything just slows down.
Your stomach is in knots a little bit.
Yeah, you're a little nervous. It's just probably that day is the only thing about boxing I don't like. And maybe fight week, because then you're waiting to weigh in and stuff. But other than that, you know, you walk out, you see your family, you see the, you know, people that are there to support you, and it's a really, you know, nice feeling. You know, I remember once when I was coming out to a fight where it's just, sometimes you don't think about it. You know, you're just in the zone. Like, you're in the locker room, and then you're warming up, and then you come out, you're in the zone.
Yeah.
But then my coach, I remember he told me like, hey, like, don't be so focused, but like, embrace everything. Like, I'll be aware of everything. So I remember walking out before we go into the ring, and the announcer announces your name. So I walked out, and I'm just standing, and I'm looking at everyone, and I can see, you know, I see my mom, I see my niece, I see my wife, I see my family. It's just, there's a moment where I want to say like a good 5 seconds, I was like, I want to cry. Yeah, it's crazy.
Really?
It's a weird feeling, but
yeah.
Then, you know, I just kind of look down, shake it off, and you're like, okay, cool. I embraced everything. I saw everyone, and everyone just wishing the best for you, you know?
Right.
And yeah, that was very,
That's gotta be a cool feeling.
Yeah, it definitely was. And then, you just go back, you go in the ring, and once you step in the ring, it's just another day, you know? It's just like, oh, another day in the office, and then
just do what you know.
Yeah.
And just focus on that.
Yeah, exactly.
You're an incredibly hard worker, obviously, right? Like, you had, from the age of 9 when you started, you worked up to becoming a professional boxer. You tried your hand at MMA. You go to college. You coach. You nurture your relationships outside of boxing. All this stuff. Do you think that came from somewhere in particular? Like, did anybody instill that hard work in you, that grit, or did you have like a tough upbringing that kind of made you like push for more? Or where do you think that came from?
Oh, it definitely came from my parents. Yeah, my parents, 100%. You know, I've never seen my parents I've never heard my parents complain. You know, I just, since I can remember, you know, my mom, for example, my mom started working when she was 7. You know, she was 7 years old. She went to a tortilleria, and she started working. She was there, you know, and she would make money to help her family, you know, help her siblings, her older siblings, giving them money and helping them pay for, you know, school clothes and everything, you know. So my mom has been working since she was 7. She came over here to the US, and then, you know, she's still working. You know, mom's still working. My dad too, you know. My dad has always been working, and yeah, I've never heard them complain. never heard them complain, and I can see how hard they work, and it's just, I don't know. I think it's just, I see them and it motivates me.
Right.
I didn't have a hard upbringing, I have nothing to complain about.
You just saw them go to work every day and come home, no complaints, and just raise you guys, and it kind of just instilled that in you, or like, how can I not do this? Like, knowing where they came from and all this stuff. Like,
absolutely. I mean, they came over here to, give us a better life, more opportunities. So yeah, there's no better inspiration than my parents. I see them and it's like, that's one of the reasons why I'm still, I'm fighting. It's my parents, my family. I want a better future for them, better future for me, better future for everyone around me. So they're a huge inspiration, and I think my work ethic definitely came from my parents. So 100%.
It's just a bigger purpose in general.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You have any passions or hobbies outside of boxing that you really enjoy?
Honestly, just learning about nutrition, I like science.
Yeah.
And it's kind of been more of a newer passion, I guess. So yeah, anything to do with
self-development, self-improvement, nutrition.
Yeah.
Kind of,
all of that interests me.
What do you think about the food nowadays? Like what's like, like you hear about organic, all these diets, right? Like what's kind of like
keto.
Keto, paleo, right? Like what's kind of like what do you believe in?
I think there is no one specific diet for anyone.
Yeah.
Right.
There's not, one, just because one diet works for one person doesn't mean it'll work for someone else. I think diets are just tools to kind of guide you and help you to reach your end goal, right? So let's say you're doing a weight loss diet or something, right? Let's say you're doing a weight loss diet. People will argue like, oh, keto's better. Oh no, high carb. Oh no, organic or carnivore or, XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever diet that you can adhere to for a long period of time, that's going to be the diet that works for you. And one diet may be paleo for you, maybe keto for you. But for what I do for boxing, it's definitely not keto. It's definitely not keto. Because you need that you have those high bursts of energy.
Yeah.
Keto is great if you're if we were talking about sports, it'll be good for longer distance, slower, less demand sports. So like ultra racing could probably be really good keto diet. But for me, I don't know. I have a mixed diet. Yeah, I'll have I have a mixed diet. I don't necessarily choose organic over non-organic. It's expensive, so you don't have
grass fed.
Yeah, grass fed. Nah. I mean, later on, if start making a little bit more money and they were looking for that 1% difference, and but for the time being, I'm not. My diet's kind of all over the place. Yeah.
Is there any food that you would like not recommend to eat like to anyone? Like that's just terrible.
Soda.
Do
you drink soda?
No, but I mean, it depends. There's the context. You gotta have context behind. You know what I mean? If we're chilling right now, we're talking and we're drinking a soda, I'll be like, yeah, you shouldn't be drinking a soda. There's no point in drinking a soda. But if you just came back from a 10-mile hike, 10-mile run, and you're like, I'm drinking a soda, I'll be like, yeah, drink 2 sodas. Don't drink one, just drink 2. Probably trans fat, things that hydrogenated oils probably you shouldn't. There's no good. There's nothing good that comes from it. So
there's no nutritional benefit.
Yeah, there's no nutritional benefit with trans fat. If anything is bad for you. But as far as foods, I don't know. I can't really think. Depends on the context.
What candy and shit?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no one size fits all. Because you even have bodybuilders who will lift and they eat candy after. I don't know what it is that's in there. I don't know if it's the sugar or whatever, but they're trying to replenish something.
Yeah, it's crazy.
To get like.
They're probably trying to get that insulin release.
Yeah.
And then I mean the sugar, they want to replace it as fast as they can. And sometimes the bodybuilders, if they're trying to bulk, they want to get as much calories as they can. And eating candy is not satisfying. Like, it doesn't get you full, so your body will absorb it and burn through it quickly. So that's just calories are sneaking in during the workout.
Satiating, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. No candy, dog.
That's just a rabbit hole, Brandon.
No, yeah. We could definitely go down a rabbit hole because I have a lot of things to say too, but I don't want to personally, I don't want to get into the nutrition. I just go down forever.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a big thing. I mean, it depends on the sport too, right? I mean,
it depends. It depends on what you're doing and it all depends on your sport or whatever context it is.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You had Michael Phelps when he was training during the Olympics eating like 10,000 calories a day, right?
Yeah, he was eating a crazy amount of calories, and imagine, I don't know if exactly it was 10,000, but let's say it was really, really high up there. You think you can reach 10,000 calories eating salads and vegetables? Hell no.
Yeah.
You have like a broccoli like this big will be like, like 20 calories.
Yeah.
Eating that much food, you have to get it from somewhere else.
Yeah.
You have
high
to get
caloric content.
Exactly.
Yeah.
High calorie foods or a lot.
Do you think that understanding food has helped you out in boxing and all that? Now that you study it, do you think it's
100%. Because now if anything, it helped me more psychologically. I think a lot of fighters, myself included, suffer from like eating disorders because they're not ever taught the proper way to eat. And having to cut weight and gain weight and then cut weight, like you're yo-yo dieting this whole time. You never get to understand yourself. You never get to understand your body and what foods work good with you, what don't. Being knowledgeable on nutrition definitely will help you. I want to say help you with anything, not your sport, just in life too. You don't want to have those midday crashes and all that stuff. But knowing your nutrition definitely helped my boxing.
Yeah, for sure.
I've always said that I think anything wrong in your life or anything you have a complaint for could probably be led back to your diet. Because people say, oh, I'm tired. Okay, what did you eat today? Oh, I was at McDonald's, or whatever. Or it can be a great number of things, but it all goes back to what you're fueling yourself with.
Right.
You get out what you put in. I think it's tremendously important. And prime example,
Yeah, absolutely. Like, not to go into the rabbit hole, but but I mean, like if let's say you have a bad night of sleep, it could be because you ate something you probably shouldn't have ate, a couple hours before or something, right? Yeah. Anything you put in your body is what you put in is what is going to come out. Something is going to come out one way or another, right? Yeah. So definitely the way you eat, how you feel yourself will impact how you feel, how you think, how you move, how you perform, everything, how you perform.
I want to ask you one last question, George, before we let you go, man. We ask every guest this question. So if we can go back to a time in your life, let's go back to 18-year-old George, 18, 19, who wanted to qualify for the Olympics but wasn't able to and didn't get to where he wanted to, and kind of like maybe had an identity crisis or felt like you left yourself down. If you can go back to that time, what would you tell yourself at that point?
I would tell myself not to worry, that everything will be okay. Yeah, not to worry, everything is going to work out no matter what you do. Just whatever you do, commit 100% to it. And if you make a mistake, fix it, correct it, because it's going to make you better. So that's what I would tell myself.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Good story. We're excited. I'm gonna continue following you on Instagram. And
thank you, champ.
Keep watching. Yeah, 16 and 3 or 16 and 1. I'm
16
sorry.
and 1.
3
yeah.
KOs.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
So if you guys are listening out there, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, leave us a review. Spotify, Apple Podcast, anywhere, and then be sure to follow. Where can they follow you on Instagram?
Instagram at George Acosta 562. YouTube, follow there on Yuyu.
Yeah, follow him on YouTube. He wants a YouTube.
We'll throw the links down at the bottom. I'll have you share
Cool.
them with me just to make sure I got the right ones, and we'll link them down below so you guys can check out more of George. Thank you very much for coming on, guys. Thank
Yeah.
you guys for listening.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys on the next one.